Hey, welcome everybody to the 40 Finance channel. My name's Jeff Beers. Today I'm going to look back over the past 30 days or so and share with you the stocks that I've been selling and buying. This is obviously a crazy time in the market. We've seen a lot of bleed out here recently, and I've been forced to make some decisions on which way I'm positioning my portfolio going forward. So I'm going to go through all the transactions that I made in the stock account here recently, keep you guys updated, and just share my thoughts on why I did what. Reminder as always that my stock picks and projections are just my opinion for your entertainment. Please make sure you do your own research before investing. However, if you do like videos like this where I share my portfolio, talk about the stocks that I'm buying, please subscribe to the channel, give this video a like. Thank you to everybody for all your support. All right, so let's start with the stocks that I sold off as we saw this bleed out in the market, particularly in the high growth names that were pretty obviously overvalued, certainly from the metrics that I typically look at. And those two stocks are Enphase, which I've talked about a lot. I even did a video on selling Enphase. And then here in the last week or so, I've also sold out of Unity Software. For both of those stocks, my intention is to get back in on them. So it's kind of a love the company, hate the stock type relationship right now, as we've seen high growth names get hammered. And the intent for me is to take advantage of the spread, right? The spread is what I own the stock at, what my cost basis is, versus how far has it fallen down, and can I make a bet to clear the spread in my favor over the next 30 or 31 days. So with stock market accounts, particularly taxable accounts, you do need to wait 30 plus days. I think I don't know if it's 30 or 31, but you have to wait a month before you buy back into the stock if you want to claim the loss on your tax returns. And obviously for me, I do want to sort of harvest those tax losses for the end of the year to offset any gains. So I will be following at least the 30-day rule before I jump back into them. And hopefully, for me anyway, hopefully I'll be able to do that at a price that's less than the cost basis I left behind. All right, so I exported the sales transactions from my account so that you can see them here. 50 shares of Enphase was sold out. I paid $9,000 for those shares total. I bought over quite a long stretch, and I got $6,300 back. So the realized loss was minus $2,700. My cost basis when I sold was $181 and some change. I sold at $127. So with that, I'll have to do a little bit of math that I'm not going to do here in this video. But there is basically a break-even price that I can get back into and potentially even inherit a bigger win if Enphase remains under this 181 number by a decent stretch. It'll probably work out to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 140 or less, somewhere in there, but I'll do that math on a different video. Unity, 35 shares that I paid $4,000 some odd for. I got back 29 some odd, so that was a loss of $1,000. I had a cost basis in Unity of 116. I sold out at 85.36. So the bet is that I can get back into Unity after 30 days for less than this cost basis of 116. And given the market conditions we're in right now, I feel pretty good about it. All right, so I'm going to go through each stock that I purchased one by one here. We've got about 5 or so names. The first one was Magnite. And you can see that I got, I don't know, 5 or 6 lots here. Unfortunately, I started in Magnite back in April 19th at $36, and I was trying to build my position up to about 100 shares. But lo and behold, we started to see the meltdown, so I ended up adding a couple more. But as everyone knows, we started to see that meltdown, so it was a prime opportunity. You can see the different prices that I paid. It was a prime opportunity to average down. And this is definitely a long-term stock that lacks some of the fundamentals that you would see in some of my ordinary purchases. However, it is a profitable company, and I do believe that they have a bright future. I'm not sure if I've done a video on this one or not, but it's basically a poor man's trade desk, and it's sort of on the opposite spectrum of trade desk, but it's one to look at, particularly if it starts to sneak down under $20. All right, next stock I bought that I had an existing position in is Etsy. Just 10 shares. Bought the first one right before things started melting down. 5 shares at 191. Then I added 5 more at 159. We'll see my whole portfolio near the end of this video, where you'll see what the cost basis are. I think my Etsy sits around 145 or something like that. And again, this is a company that I believe in for the long term, so I just tried to add a little bit while I still could, because I believe the price of Etsy over the next year or two will actually go up. All right, Palantir, got a lot of Palantir with their price dip, and my cost basis for Palantir was actually kind of high. I think it was like $26 or something. You can see all the different dates, all the different lots, and basically every time I saw Palantir dip under $20, I was certainly interested in it for the long term. Don't know what this adds up to. 110. So I bought 110 shares on different times with Palantir. It is seeing a little bit of a boost here today on Friday when I'm recording it, but I don't anticipate Palantir to be like a 2x or 3x stock this year, but I really, really like what they're doing in the long term, and I recently did a video on them if you're curious about my bull case there. All right, next up is PayPal, which I actually just added today. This is one of my biggest existing positions. I just bought 5 shares on the recent market weakness at 246. I believe it puts my cost basis for PayPal in at about 192. And again, I'm not selling that one anytime soon. I just took advantage of some price weakness. All right, next up we have Square. And with Square, this is one that I think is at, has a high risk factor to it in this growth meltdown, only because it does lack the fundamentals. I'm trying to keep my cost basis around 200. For whatever reason, I bought in on the 7th at 236. I probably would not do that today, but I think Bitcoin was going up during that time. But whatever, I clipped off a couple cheaper shares later in the month. Square's one, quite honestly, that if it dropped to $150, it wouldn't surprise me. I would probably add some more. The ideal cost basis for Square, in my opinion, is under $200. But I do suspect I'll have to hold this one for a while because it ran up so quickly over the pandemic. All right, next we'll look at the total portfolio to see where things stand. But I just wanted to pause for a second and just reflect on the bigger picture with what I'm doing right now. Obviously sold out of some high growth names that I hope to get back into at a cheaper price. And then some of the stocks that I bought are either stocks that are around $20 that I didn't have huge positions in, so the opportunity to manage down on the cost basis was good. And basically, if I bought it this month, in case you're wondering, Magnite and Palantir, I didn't really see those stocks as being like a 10xer this year. These are long-term plays, and frankly, at their current price points, if the company were to do big things over the next 3 to 5 years, I'm in a really good position for those returns to compound. But I do know absolutely for sure that I will have to wait a while for those to ever turn into $100 stocks or something like that, especially right now when we see hyper growth sort of coming back down to reality, if you will, from a fundamental standpoint. As far as selling winners, I really haven't sold any winners. I really have been keeping all of my winners, including stocks like DraftKings that have been as high as $80. I could have taken a nice profit there, but I've hung on to them, and I don't really see a ton that I would sell. Some of the small cap names that you know I have, whether it's Smile Direct, Sabre, Rocket, some of those stocks that are really just kind of frittering about. If I did see opportunity where those would jump of 100% or double up or something like that, I would certainly think about it. They would all incur short-term gains though, but now that I have a little bit of a tax loss to play off of, I can take that opportunity and basically inherit my wins without, they'll kind of cancel each other out, right? So I have roughly 4,000 some odd dollars in tax loss that for me works as a credit, right? So if I do see some things double up, then I may take some additional profits, but most of my portfolio is long-term. All right, so here's where the portfolio stands today. Existing positions 103,242. This total gain does not include the things I've sold, right? Just the way this Yahoo tracker works. So again, I believe I have about a 4K loss for this year. So total gains about plus 10,000 right now. I will do the total return of the portfolio, maybe like in the half point of the year, but there's a lot of things to calculate, right? Because I'm getting dividends from stocks like Taiwan Semi, Visa, etc. I have money that I've put into the account. So in order to get the total return, I have to do some back-end math, which I will definitely do and do a video on that. As far as positions and cost basis, here's where things stand here today. PaySafe coming in at 1085 on the street. I own 200 shares at 1435. Right now staring at a minus 25%. Magnite, $25, 120 shares. My cost per share is still high, even averaging down like I have, $34.51. So that's a minus 27% loss. I wouldn't be surprised if I bought 10, 20, 30 more shares of Magnite just to bring this down a little bit. Palantir, right at $20. I have 210 shares at $22.39. So despite averaging down, I'm still minus 10%. Sabre is sort of my travel play. 200 shares at $11. That one's up plus 21%. Square coming in at 207 when I made this video. 40 shares at 217. I'm off 4% on Square. Amazon, 2 shares at 31.46. Price today of 322, something like that. Up just a hair at 2.47%. Etsy, price today of 163. I have 50 shares at 146, and that one's up 11%. Smile Direct, getting killed lately. $7.68. I have 300 shares at 764. I never thought I'd see that price on Smile Direct, but I'm holding because I'm actually up 817. So on August 17th, I will pass my 1 year with Smile Direct. I do think they have some good things going for them. I never thought they'd come down this far, but it will be a candidate to sell heading into Q4, only if I'm making money though. I'm not taking a loss in Smile Direct because I do believe in their long-term future. TSM, 112, I got 55 shares at 92.29. That one's up 22%, plus it provides dividend. PayPal at 246, 60 shares, now at 192. I think I was at 185, something like that. That one's up 28%. Rocket, obviously not going my way on Rocket, 1724 today. I have 290 shares at 1984. That's a 13% loss. Visa, 227. I'm at 189 for 60 shares, so I'm up 19.52%. DraftKings, this is one where the returns have just fallen off the cliff. Trading under 45. I got 200 shares under 35. That's a plus 29%. TAP, this is where it's good to have that barbell approach. I hung on to my TAP beer stocks, $58 today. 100 shares at $34.58. This one's up 68%. It might be one of my highest current returns. These other tech stocks will jump back up eventually, but it could be a long couple months. Same thing with TJX, that's a retail store. 72 today, I got 105 shares at 48.08 plus the dividend. That one's up plus 51%. And GBTC Bitcoin, 39.72 today. I have 100 shares at 990. Well, that's the leader at plus 300%. This could be one. It wouldn't surprise me if I do take some profits on, only because I have started a very small crypto account in Webull, and I may just transition over and buy segments of Bitcoin in a separate account. That would let me sell a win here. I'll have to check the last lot I bought on GBTC. It would have been during the pandemic. But if I'm in long-term capital gains for all my shares, I could see me selling that and just changing the way I invest in Bitcoin going forward. So I still have a decent share of winners. If we go on a market cap perspective, which is, value of the stock today, the big dogs that I invest in are pretty much doing fine, right? Square's the only real dog there, and I haven't been in it very long. Etsy, TJX, Amazon, Taiwan Semi. But when I get into my smaller holdings with higher growth potential, if you will, maybe right here about Rocket, Palantir, Magnite, Sabre, SDC, PaySafe, those are all getting lit up right now. Minus 13, minus 10, minus 27, and minus 24. So that's where I'm really losing out. However, I will say that I think that there is opportunity for each one of those stocks to turn things around. So I don't mind waiting. And frankly, every day I wait, I get closer to more opportunity for them to turn the ship around. All right, guys, so those are the stocks that I'm selling and buying here in the past 30 days or so. I also got a portfolio update in there. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As far as going into the future, it's really hard to tell which way this market's going to go, right? We were doom and gloom, and then today on Friday, I think NASDAQ is plus over 2%. So are we bouncing back? I have no idea. We certainly have a lot of threats coming out with interest rates, potentially inflation, but we also have some of the CDC guidelines relaxing quite a bit, which could be good news for a lot of sectors. I personally am not seeing a ton of deals out there. The most obvious ones, in my opinion, which is travel, those are all running extra high on the valuations, if you ask me. And I think that if you're interested in travel, there will be an opportunity maybe come in the next earnings where we see that maybe the expectations were too high and those will backtrack. I don't know, that's just speculation. But that's where my stuff stands today. So if you enjoyed this, please give it a like. I really appreciate it. We'll see you on the next video.